The stage is yours. Wow. Thank you everybody for showing up. Man, I've been going through some real life incidences, so I didn't have so much time to prepare. So I'm gonna free wing it and just give you guys my soul, and hopefully you take something away from it. So I got a question for the crowd. Who here wants to be famous? I like that. Listen, this is not a trick question. I have nothing to sell to you. So there's no course at the end of this, I promise you. Who here at some point in their life wanted to be famous or wants to be famous currently? I think a lot more people raised their hand after that. Perfect. I, growing up as a kid, had the same exact thoughts and the same exact energy. I looked at life and I thought, I have the same type of charisma as these people on television. I should be able to do that. So I started acting on it. I started making YouTube videos of me skateboarding in my front yard, in my garage as a kid, as early as 12 years old. This was back when YouTube had a time limit of 7 minutes to upload a video. There was, the old red play button and nothing fancy about the platform, just a lot of people with a lot of dreams. And I started uploading content and started to put myself out there, not with the idea of, oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money from this. Not with the idea of, oh, I'm gonna be, somebody that's famous. I just thought I'd be good at it. Something that felt aligned with my soul and something that I could give to the world as this is my blessing, this is my offering, this is me. Fast forward to college. I graduated from high school, going to college, and I'm looking around like, dang, I still want this dream. I still want to be famous. I still want to do this. So I become this persona of the weed man. I started selling weed in college, and they call me Jamaica. This is how I got through college. I paid my own tuition, paid my own way, selling weed and mushrooms. And I started this channel called Tristan Goes to College. And it was, imagine Logan Paul meets Nelk Boys before all of that happened. 100 subscribers. No worries, no problem. I enjoyed the process. Towards the end of college, I'm looking at graduation. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck am I gonna do with life? Am I gonna get out and get a corporate job? Am I gonna join communications or a business degree? What am I gonna do with it? And I came back to that point where I was a little kid, uploading YouTube videos to that channel and thinking, you know what? I'm gonna go all in on content. I'm gonna do this. So I started making YouTube videos towards the end of my college career once again to get back into that spark, to get back into that rhythm of who do I want to become? And you know what I realized? Editing is hard. Making videos is fucking hard. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and it's really difficult. So I had a thought, and I'm sure somebody else in the crowd thought this as well. It's, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a job. And then I'm gonna make a lot of money, and then I'm gonna pursue content full time. Who here has had that thought before? Yeah, I know Yoder for sure. For sure. That's my brother right there, by the way. That's my brother. So I have this idea. I'm gonna make a bunch of money, I'm gonna save it up, and I'm gonna go all in on content. That's the worst advice that I can give anybody that wants to get started with content. Awful advice. Start today. Because there's so many things about content that you don't know that you can only learn from doing. There's not any amount of money that can teach you how to speak in front of a camera, how to be confident, how to upload at the right time. There's no amount of money that can teach you that. So towards the end of my college career, I go ahead and on Instagram, this is before Instagram had the DM features. It was the old brown photo app store of what you saw on Instagram. And I saw my buddy Jordan Clark. And he posted a picture of a BMW. It was an older BMW, but it was still a BMW. And I'm from Southern California, a little mountain town called Hemet, California. Nobody's heard of it. If you've driven to Vegas, you might have seen it passing by, but you did not miss a single thing not stopping there. I see Jordan upload this picture of this BMW, and I messaged him on what was text message at the time. I had a flip phone. I said, whatever the fuck it is that you are doing, I'm gonna do it too. I don't care if you're shoveling shit for 8 hours a day, I'm gonna do it too. He said, I'm selling solar panels. I'm going door to door, talking to people. I think you'd be really good at it. I'm like, let's do it. I'm down. So I take this next summer and I spend every single day knocking doors, selling solar panels. Who here has gone door to door before? Wait, wow, that's a lot more people than I thought. So for the people that have knocked door to door, you understand that it is the most rewarding and most challenging job that you can ever have. It is the highest paying or the lowest paying job that you can ever have. You can make $100,000 in a summer, or you can make 100,000 pennies in a summer, or you could just make pennies. Like there's such a wide spread in between when it comes to a door-to-door full commission job. So I was continuously thinking to myself, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to go ahead, go all in, and I'm going to master this, and I'm going to do content. That was always my back plan. And when I was doing solar, we have this thing called the solar hoster. It is such a grind, an emotional toll to go ahead, sign somebody, think you're going to make $5,000 on a deal, and they cancel the next day. Or they cancel right when it's time to get installed, or something happens with the installation company outside of your control, and you're punching your steering wheel, you're crying, you're shaking yourself to sleep, like, what the fuck am I doing? So at one point, I was on a solar appointment, and I was still selling weed and mushrooms at this time, just so you guys know. I wasn't making that much money yet. I still had bills to pay, I still had to eat, so I was still selling weed and I was still selling mushrooms. And I checked my phone on the way to one of the solar appointments, and all of a sudden, my windshield is crashing in on top. I was driving a 2001 Chrysler Sebring with the paint chipped on the hood. Hood car, beat up, terroring. If you guys know The Office, Michael Scott's car, the Chrysler Sebring, imagine that, but a way worse version of it. That's what I drove to and from solar appointments. So I pull into this neighborhood, and all of a sudden, I look down at my phone, I look up, and my windshield is crashed on top of me. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Oh my God. So I pull into reverse, I look into my back seat. I have a quarter pound of mushrooms in the back seat of my car. My first instinct, flee the scene. I got to get the fuck out of here. Like, go. So this was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, mind you. Everybody's outside playing with their kids. They see this dude in a beat-up 2001 Chrysler Sebring crash his car into the back of a parked truck that rolls on top of his car. So I flee the scene. I get about 200 feet, I'd get nowhere. The police come, they search the vehicle, they find the quarter pound of mushrooms, and this is one of the turning points of my life. I'm in the back of the cop car, and on the dashboard, it says what you're arrested for. It said Tristan Yoder, arrested for felony possession with intention to distribute heroin. I said, heroin? Who the fuck had heroin? What's the fuck? In California at the time, it was a Schedule I felony to have mushrooms. They're like, yeah, it says heroin, but don't worry. You're just on for Schedule I. It's the same thing, but don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, I'm not worried at all, buddy. I'm not worried at all. Fucking done with this. So they take me to the jail. I spent about 4 days there. I finally get to talk to a bond officer. And he's like, for your bail, we're going to go ahead and give you $55,000 so that you can get out. And if you guys aren't familiar with the U.S. bail system, you have to pay 10% to a bail bond so that you can get out. This quarter pound of mushroom cost me about $200, $250. For no way that I could sell it to anybody could I make $55,000 off of this quarter pound of mushrooms. At that point in time, I knew that my career selling drugs was absolutely over. I'm not doing this anymore. The time goes by, I'm sitting in the jail cell, my dad comes and visits me, and I'm sitting in an orange jumpsuit across from him, fake plexiglass separating me and him. I look him in his eyes. He lowers his head. He shakes it. He says, Tris, what happened? The kid that was supposed to be the YouTube star, the celebrity, the person that was famous, is now sitting in handcuffs in a jail cell, looking at his dad on the other side of the glass, asking the same question. What happened? Thankfully, they let me out without bail because this was my first offense. But at this point, I realized I had real problems. I could not go back to content creation. I had to lock in and then get paid. So I self-admitted myself into rehab, and for the next 45 days, I'm in a rehabilitation center in Southern California so that they can drop the felony down to a misdemeanor. After that, I still had to serve 90 days on house arrest. So it was the only thing that I knew how to do to make money. And it didn't require a background check on who I was as a person to the state of California. You guessed it, knocking doors, selling solar panels. At this time, I put my career as a content creator on the background, and it said, I'm going all in on solar. I need to make it. The first time that I ever made $10,000 in a single month, I had an ankle monitor around my foot, knocking doors in Southern California in 100-degree heat because I felt like I had no other option. If you guys ever felt yourself in a situation where your back is against the wall, it was quite literally that. I was living at my grandpa's house, sleeping on his couch, wondering how the fuck am I going to get out of this situation. I knew that money was going to be the option. So I locked in and made it happen. But that didn't make selling solar panels any easier. Just because I had no other option, I was still miserable. So about 3 months go by, I have about $20,000 saved up to my name, and I still feel miserable. I say, you know what? I throw my cards in. I'm going to go all in on content. I have some savings to my name. I'm going to do it. And guess what happened? I still didn't do it. I don't know what. I don't know what the fuck it was that was holding me back. And I'm sitting there. I have all the time in the world. I have the money to pay editors. I have the charisma. I have the spark. I have what it is that I think that I need to become successful as a content creator. And I had to sit there and reflect at my grandpa's house on his couch and ask myself, what is it that I'm holding myself back with? Flashing back to 2010, I was on a trip to Europe with my family, and who here has heard of a website called 4chan? It's like Reddit's autistic older brother that is severely demented. There's no filter. It's a forum site that has no filter on it. And in 2010, I came across my first image of what I now know as a trans woman. I remember looking at this image, and I remember thinking to myself, what the fuck is this? Is this a third gender? Is this something that I don't know about? I've never seen this before. Nobody's told me about this in this little mountain town of Southern California next to Palm Springs. And I questioned to myself, do I like this? Am I gay? I'm not gay. Am I gay? I'm kind of gay. No, I can't be gay. And all of this shame came up, pushed out, came up, pushed out. My mom was a Jamaican immigrant, and if you guys know anything about Caribbean folk, they don't like gay people. It's very shunned inside of their community. So I thought to myself, there's no way that I'm gay. There's no way that I'm even a little bit gay. Bisexual, fuck that. No. I cannot do that. And inside the black community, especially in Southern California, gay people are not accepted. So I was like, you know what? This pain I'm going to shut down. I'm going to shame away. It does not exist. It is not who I am. Fast forward to me sitting on my grandpa's couch, asking myself the question, why do I keep self-sabotaging myself when it comes time to produce this content? That shame kept me from growing into the light of the person that I felt that I could become. That shame kept me from producing the content, putting posts on YouTube, and letting it grow. Every single time that I started getting some momentum, I started to shun myself, shame myself, self-sabotage myself. And I sat there in the same spiral, the same thought loop over and over and over until I came to a point that I accepted it. At this point, I had moved to Los Angeles with hopes of being on YouTube, making content. I said, you know what? As long as I'm in the right environment, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna go to Los Angeles like all these other people. I don't know how I'm gonna be famous. I don't know how I'm gonna make money, but I'm gonna do it. And so much shame, so much pain, so much of this bottled up emotion that I've been fighting since I was 15 years old came up to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I had about 2,000 followers on Instagram at the time, and I put it on my story. I said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Tristan likes trans women. And about 4 people responded to it. Too good, too bad. I thought the world was crashing down, but what I realized is nobody really cared. All of that shame that I had been bottling up, thinking what people would think about me, and how I would hide away from them, all that time that I was afraid of being famous because I didn't want this secret to come out, Nobody really gave a shit. And I felt release, I felt relief, and I felt this freedom from this pain that I was holding on to for so long. Fast forward to 2020, I ended up moving to Mexico. I saw a friend of mine on Snapchat taking body shots in Cancun when the whole world was shut down during COVID. I was like, that sounds a lot more fun than what's going on in California right now. I fly out to Mexico. I end up meeting some sock traders that teach me how to trade socks. And I do that as a full-time income up until 2021. But the dream of being a content creator was still inside of my soul. My buddy Diego Day, who now has over 1 million followers as well, he's just getting started in his content career, and he meets me on the street, Playa del Carmen, Mexico. He's like, hey, can I interview you? I was like, yeah, what? I'd love to interview. Please, let me do that. He asked me, how much money would it take for you to suck a dick? I said, if she's trans and sexy, I'll do it for free. He asked me afterwards, are you sure that we can post this? Are you okay with this? I'm like, yeah, I let go of that shame. It's no problem, I promise you. About 2 weeks go by, and a friend of mine in college messages me on Facebook. She's like, hey, your video is blowing up on Twitter. I said, Twitter? What the fuck with Twitter? So I log onto my Twitter. I have about 200 followers at this time. Keep that in mind. On Twitter, they repost this video. By the time that I see it, it already has 500,000 playthrough. I'm like, damn, this is really cool. So I go back to all my old tweets. I delete everything, like all the stupid shit that I tweeted before. And I reposted like, hey, this is me. In the time of 1 week, I went from 200 followers on Twitter to 20,000. Overnight, I remember sitting down on my computer just pressing refresh. 10.1K, 10.2K, 10.3K. And I thought to myself, how do I capitalize on this? What do I do? What do I do? 100 different things happen. But at the end of the day, the thing that kept me from jumping into the thing that I felt was my destiny, to be famous, to walk into the limelight, to be that person that could be influence to other people, the thing that held me down when I released that shame, it was quite literally the thing that lifted me to limelight. So my action step for you today, whatever it is that you're holding on to, that shame that you're holding on to, I guarantee there's at least 1 million people in the world that are feeling that exact shame, and they're waiting for you to tell your stories. Thank you.
Minbang. Iki. Bravo.
What a story.
Thank you, brother.
Fuck, I love it. You know what I mean? Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Epic story, right? I love it. I'm wondering, did you want to do Q&A?
Yeah, I'm the
Angel
actual.
off stage.
Whatever works for you, I'm happy to do.
Anyone got some quick questions for Tristan, or would you rather? Okay, yes. We need to hear from Sarah down the back. Take like 3 questions, and anyone else can come and connect with Tristan in the break. Yeah? I'd love to hear what your questions are on your topic.
And by the way, guys, I forgot to mention, I transferred that 20,000 followers on Twitter to now over 1 million followers on Instagram. This is something that I do full time. I allow my personality to be what is that pays me. So I'm coming from the bottom of my heart. When I tell you guys, please just press post. Just do it. Please.
I'm going to swap. You take that one? Sarah?
Hey. I was genuinely wondering your reflections first time up there.
Yeah, sure. Whew. Damn, that was the first time I sucked a dick. That's a great question. At first, I was like, wow, girls like this? I don't like this so much. Like, y'all do this for pleasure? It's like, no. But, yeah. After the second time, it was like, still no, but no, the reflections after was like, you know, I'm so happy that I explored this part of me. If I had allowed the shame that I felt other people would put onto me to prevent me from experiencing this, then I'd be missing out on a piece of life that deserved to be explored. I'll tell you the story another time. It's a complete story. It's a complete story. But that was my reflections after the first time. Yeah.
I got a follow-up question on that.
Sure. We're just going for gold over here. I love it.
Well, your community is mainly men. How do you think this affects the perception, or does it affect the perception that you have from your men's community when you share these kinds of stories?
That's a good question. So for me, I pride myself on being a good influence. And I know that my tribe is not going to be everyone. When you have 1 million followers, there's days that I lose 5,000. I can't even, think about it. I can't blink about it. So if I post something and I tell people, my truth, I lose followers, it's fine. It's part of the game. So whenever I feel shame or whenever I feel hesitation to go ahead and express my truth and tell what it is that I'm feeling, I remember back to that kid that was, I think, 21, 22 years old, crying in his car, thinking to himself, like, fuck, what am I doing holding myself back? And then it brings me back to the present moment. And it's like, bro, if I can't tell who I am, then that thing controls me. And if that thing controls me, it's bigger than me. And there's nothing in this life that's bigger than me inside of this mind that I have. So thank you, brother.
Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm happy to be alive. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for being so genuine and transparent on stage. It's really inspiring to see. Um, as someone who is also struggling with, like you've struggled with being in a vicious loop of being ashamed of something and holding on to it, could you take us back to how it was to be in that loop, what it took like to really break free, and how you think differently now than back then?
Sure. So there comes a point where you increase your level of consciousness to such a height that the pain of the anchor that you're holding on to, one of them has to go. Like, you begin to understand life, you begin to understand yourself to such a deep level that that pain that you feel of that shame of that event or that habit or that fetish, there cannot be two that live coexisting with each other. So you have to let one of them go. And just hearing you speak right now, I know that you've let the upper one go time and time and time again, but there becomes a point where it's like, I can't keep sacrificing the life that I could have and the life that I should have for the life that I think other people would judge me for. So when you break out of that thought loop, what it felt for me was like, this, I cannot walk another day with this pain. And that's when I ended up with the story post. And the thing that 4 people responded to on an Instagram account with 2,000 followers on it, the same Instagram account that now has over 1 million followers on it. Looking back on that, what I would tell that person is like, man, when you're able to tell your truth, there are more people than you could ever imagine that have had that same truth or are living through that same thing. And by you not coming forward and speaking that, you're not only robbing yourself of the life that you could live, but you're also keeping the truth from other people that are feeling that same exact shame that you are. Whatever event it is, I promise you, there's nothing new that's been experienced under the sun. It just comes to us having a level of consciousness internally to be able to go ahead and accept it instead of avoiding it. As my friend here spoke, I don't know where he went, but it's when we stop avoiding it, when you start reading the books, doing the meditations, doing the journalings, there's only one way to go, and it's up. And those things that hold you back, to give you some context, I went from 40,000 followers to 1 million followers in 7 months just by finding the vehicle. And that vehicle was sitting underneath so much pain and shame and dirt and grime that once I removed all of that, it was a rocket. I gained 100,000 followers in 3 days off of 2 videos. And that's the type of growth that's waiting for you once you remove that shame and start expressing yourself authentically online. It could be the same, it could be worse, it could be better. It's not mine to compare to, it's for you to explore.
What would you say is the number one transferable skill that you learned from door-to-door solar coasting? And can you give me an example or us an example of how you utilize that skill today?
Oh man, I think the number one transferable skill from door-to-door sales is this idea of abundance. Something that I teach my students nowadays is like, if she rejects you, I promise you, there's going to be another girl you could talk to. There's going to be another person that you can try and sell. Like, there are 8 billion people on this planet. I promise you, you have not had a sales conversation with all people inside of your marketplace. I promise you. It's impossible. It's impossible. And even if they reject you the first time, you could still come back the second time around. I promise you. So that would be the number one transferable skill, is that there's always another door. There's always another person to talk to. And what I find a lot of people, whether it's entrepreneurialism or pickup artistry or, all these different areas of life, is they have this idea of scarcity that like, oh, I can't say this, I can't be myself, I can't express myself in the way that I want to because I'm afraid of losing the sale, I'm afraid of offending the girl, I'm afraid of coming across as a creep. But once you get used to knocking doors, I mean, some people in here, if they knock doors for more than a summer, they've touched 1,000 doors. Before you get started, you never even imagine trying to talk to 1,000 people. And that doesn't even scratch one whole city, of one whole state, of one whole country, of one whole continent. So the number one transferable skill, I'd say, is that idea of there is always going to be one more. And what was the second part of the question? Oh, how I utilize that skill today. Man, it's the same with content. The content machine is so hungry. You can never feed it so much content that you're going to oversaturate it. It's impossible. You can post 8 times a day, 9 times a day. Whoever here wants to build a personal brand, I'm telling you, you are just not in front of the camera enough. I promise you, you are not posting enough. Unless you are posting 5 times a day, 7 days a week, and twice on Sunday, you are not even coming close to the amount of threshold that you can on a single platform, let alone Twitter, let alone YouTube, let alone you're not even coming close. Not even coming close. The people with the biggest media teams are doing 40 pieces of content a day. That's 8 pieces of content across 5 different platforms. Ask yourself this question: how many pieces of content have you posted this week, this month, this year? So that comes back to that abundance, the transferable skill. It's like, you are just like, the answer is volume. What everybody fails to realize, or I think a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people fail to realize, is that you're just not doing enough raw output. And that's what I learned on the doors. It's, hey, you think you're knocking a lot of doors? You're not knocking a lot of doors, buddy. You just got to get back outside of your car and make it happen.